Welcome back to Weekly Allowance, the universe's only toy review show and YouTube's only dinosaur toy review show. No, I can't even pretend to joke about that. There are a lot of dinosaur action figure reviewers, and most of the ones I have taken a look at are pretty great, so I'm going to be far from the first person taking a look at this. But if you are a watcher of this channel, you know that I am a dinosaur aficionado. I am a paleo artist, so these are actually very helpful for me. So this is PNSO. It's their new and very first articulated figure. They're starting out strong with the T-Rex. Can't go wrong with that. Cameron is his name. Is it PNSO? I keep wanting to call it PNSO, but I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, their first articulated figure. They're pretty well known for their static figures. I've been an admirer of their figures before, but I don't own one until now. Really beautiful packaging, very matte, and a very nice long, wide shot of the figure. Long box, too. It's interesting because I'm definitely used to the Creative Beast more squat boxes. And it's basically going to be the same packaging on the front and back, just a language difference. Got a close-up of our guy here. Every life deserves your respect. And you know what? I agree with that. So I'm definitely interested to see what we've got here. Oh, what's this? Got a booklet here first. New Aesthetic Education. Ooh. Was not expecting this. What? Oh, you get an entire booklet. That is really cool. I did not know that. So you get an entire, actually pretty thick booklet about the anatomy of Tyrannosaurus Rex, going into detail about information that informed the sculpt of this figure. Man, have I been sleeping on this company this entire time? I don't think it's fair to say that because I am aware of them and I know they make really good stuff. I just am not quite as interested in the static figures. Wow, that's cool. That's a nice little bonus. Ooh, it looks nicely packed. We've got some foam here. So you actually get not one but two booklets. This was in the box as well. It's the same thing, just in Chinese. So that's really cool, something for both English and Chinese speaking dinosaur enjoyers. Or not speaking, but reading rather. Okie dokie. Packaging is really great. Ooh, he's heavy. Looks like this is a stand. Yeah, the packaging is perfectly form-fitted for him. No rubbing up against plastic or rattling around. Very, very nice. I don't know exactly what I expected from this company, but I did expect something along these lines. I mean, the informational booklet, the really nice and secure packaging. It makes sense because they've been in the dinosaur statue game for a long time. Their stuff is really nice, very well regarded. I'm really liking the way they package this and the way they give you extra information. That is so cool. Man, he is heavy. Look at him! Oh my god! Now that's a chunky boy. Right now he's stuck in kind of a defeated posture because that's just the way he was in the box. He definitely needs to be heated up. I don't want to risk breaking anything. I wish you could feel how heavy he is, because he is heavy. You're definitely gonna need that stand, because T-Rex, famously not a very evenly keeled animal, trying to stand him up the way he is not gonna work. And a lot of that is just because he needs to be heated up. I can't really balance his mass the way he is, but first impressions are fantastic. He is just beautiful. I'm not wild about more drab color schemes like this, but it's realistic. And it's not just one color, there's a whole bunch of different colors and some different patterning going on. I guess drab is the wrong word. I'm not utilizing my full vocabulary. Earth toned is what I mean, these more earthy colors. I prefer color schemes that are a little bit more flashy and flamboyant, but that is just the kind of freak I am. But this looks awesome. Really natural. This side is a little bit more splotchy than the other side. You can see on this side, the dark gradient kind of smooths out into this reddish color and then into this pale color. Here there's like a big ink splash of dark color in a way that makes me think it wasn't intentional. But you know, that doesn't bother me at all because this is a take on a realistic animal. No animal's going to be perfect. There's always going to be some kind of weird color variation, what we would call an imperfection. So yeah, I do think that is a mistake, but it's faint and it does not bother me at all. But yeah, overall the silhouette is perfect. I feel like the more we find out about T-Rex, the more chunky it gets, which is fine with me. I love a chunky boy. So if I'm correct, I think this is already a sculpt or a design they had for one of their static figures, and they just took that and translated it into an action figure. Which isn't to say they just took the sculpt and carved it up. I'm sure there was a lot more work involved than that. The Cameron sculpt and color was one they already had. Lots of variation in scales. These really cool larger muzzle scales, and they even have a more keratinized finish. They're a little bit glossy, whereas the rest of him is a little bit more matte. Face ridge leading up into the eyebrow ridges, delicately sculpted scales. Tiny, tiny scales, lots of wrinkles, a wealth of different texture. You got a pretty gnarly seam running down the bottom, but let's be real, you're not really gonna see that often, and it's not that bad. That's just an unfortunate side effect of having to pull something from a mold, is that typically there's going to be a seam somewhere. I like to look at things from the top view just to see that top-down silhouette. The cut here I think is a little awkward, but I mean, what else are you going to do? You are working, as I've said before, within the confines of the material and our physical realm. So if you want these legs to move, they're going to need somewhere to go on a plastic figure. The sculpting down at the base of the tail is awesome. Tiny, tiny, tiny little scales. Thick, muscly tail. Look at these tiny little arms. They're pretty adorable. You've even got detailed scoots on the feet and the legs. The feet and the hands are where they lose a little bit of detail. The claws are basically just smooth. I feel like I want to see a little bit more detailing on the claws, but I mean, at this scale, it's not really an issue. And I feel also that I would like a wash or something on the feet, but that is total nitpick. Let's look at them from the front view. Binocular eyes, front-facing eyes. I've seen people say that they can't take the more modern reconstructions of T-Rex seriously because it looks so doofy from the front. I guess it's like that for a lot of theropod dinosaurs. But I mean, a lot of animals look silly from some angle or another. You ever seen a bald eagle from the front? Ridiculous. Let's open the mouth. Wow. Whoa. So glossy in there. Wow. Sculpted all the way through. That is amazing. Look at the top of the mouth. There's a wash of a darker pink and with that light glossy pink. The inside of the mouth might be my favorite part, which I guess is a weird thing to say. But yeah, you close the mouth, those teeth are obscured by the lips. Very well done. You can see the lips kind of pulling away from the mouth and showing that gum line. The teeth are individually sculpted, individually painted. Very nice. Yeah, I can't get over the inside of that T-Rex mouth. And I love the way they incorporated the jaw muscles. You have this skin here that's obscured when you close the mouth, and then you also have this buckle flap. Little tiny ear. Yeah, he's awesome looking. Yeah, I get when people are not as keen on the modern reconstructions of some dinosaurs. Like, I understand, because there's something just like nostalgic and kind of romantic about seeing a giant evil looking lizard. You got some people who don't like the modern reconstructions because they prefer those more fierce creatures, more fantastical creatures. You know, they want dinosaurs to be badass. And then you've got people who are all for the modern reconstructions, who want to be as scientifically accurate as possible. I've witnessed arguments between those two types of people, but I feel like I fall somewhere in between where I can really appreciate all the outdated concepts, especially the really old ones, you know, like standing upright, or like the Crystal Palace iguanodon, stuff like that. I really appreciate those depictions, and I really appreciate the work that's going into reconstructing these animals as accurately as possible given what we know now. I think people get caught up too much in both camps. But that's just my rant. So I'm going to heat him up, and then we'll see what kind of articulation he has. My guess is not too much, but we shall see. All right, so he's all heated up, and he comes with not one stand, but two. A taller one and a shorter one, so you can use whichever depending on what position you want to put him in. Let's go through articulation. So as I suspected, not that much, but I wasn't really expecting much. First of all, T-Rex is a big, chunky animal, like I talked about with the Bodvar review I did last time, the big bear. It's a brick of an animal. I mean, you look at it and you're like, how did that thing even move in real life? Kind of difficult to transform that into action figure form. We've got a decent joint here on the base of the neck. Get a little bit of side to side and some up and down. You've also got this piece here. It doesn't really move. I think it is mainly just a pivot point for the head, which moves up and down. But if you want any left and right movement, that's going to come from the neck. Of course, we saw mouth open. The arms also do not do much. They don't really go back and forth. They swivel, and then there's a tiny little joint for the elbow. And you get a swivel on that too. The tail is on a ball joint, so it can also swivel. I believe it's wired. It's mainly noticeable at the tip. You can't really get much out of thicker base because it's so thick. But at the tip you can do a little bit more. Then the legs, you've got some nice, very nice back. A little bit of forward, the belly gets in the way. Some back and forth on the knee, some back and forth and swivel on the ankle. And then for those toes, you've got a little bit of rock and a little bit of swivel. And that is about it. He splays a little bit, but not much at all. So yeah, not too much in the way of articulation, but before we had ordered this, I looked up product shots and everything. And I don't think they really made it a secret that it couldn't actually do much. You know, I think it's pretty impressive for their first foray into an action figure line. You can get a running pose. You can have him standing up more, sniffing the air. But yeah, you do need these stands because for the most part, he's not going to stand on his own, which was also something I pretty much expected going into this. So that is not a surprise, nor is it a disappointment. It's a chunky boy. Chunky. So I want to do some comparisons. I'm a big fan of Creative Beast Studios. I backed the Raptor Kickstarter, the Ceratopsid Kickstarter, Tyrannosaurs, some of the new Cyberzoic line. Real big fan of those. I wish I could have them all. As it stands, I can only have some. And this is one of them. This is from the Tyrannosaur Kickstarter. So as you can see, also 1/35th scale. They do make ones that are a 1/18th scale, a little bit too big and out of my budget, so this 1/35th version was fine with me. I believe this colorway was the exclusive Kickstarter version. So yeah, honestly, I mean, these are both very similar. I'd say the detail and finish on Cameron is a little bit more fine than on the Creative Beast T-Rex. It's definitely heavier. The articulation is also kind of the same too. I was going into this expecting that Creative Beast would have more articulation, and I guess technically it does. It's got way better articulation for the arms, but yeah, neck movement in Cameron is better. Interior of the mouth in Cameron is better, just more detailed. This is just kind of a plain red with kind of mismatched teeth, honestly. This beast of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaurus is equipped with the standing legs, which do not have articulation, and then it comes with these alternate legs. Here's an example of one with a running foot attached. You can see how the heel's lifted up, but the alternate legs do have articulation. Pretty similar type too, just a hinge and a swivel. But yeah, to get that articulation, you do have to swap out the legs. It is an interesting way of doing it, of having just these standing legs so you don't have to worry about anything warping or sagging, especially since these older Beasts of the Mesozoic figures don't come with a stand like this. I think the new ones do, but the older theropods just have these bases where you can plug these legs in, and they look cool, but they're really not the most useful. So yeah, in my opinion, neither is worse than the other. I think they're both awesome. They're just awesome in different ways, and very, very comparable size-wise. I mean, these two could hang out. I really hope that PNSO keeps making articulated figures. I would love to get more of their figures. I do know that Creative Beast is coming out with T-Rex 2.0, so it will be an updated Tyrannosaurus with more articulation. So we'll have to wait and see how good that's going to be, because I'm sure it's going to be great. Hopefully they make a 1/35th version in addition to the 1/18th version, because like I said, the 1/18th, it's a little bit too big and out of people's budgets. I think you're going to have more people buying the smaller version. At least I will. Listen, I would love to have a bunch of giant dinosaurs just sitting around, but that's not the reality I live in right now. For an example of Cameron with a 1/18th scale theropod, here is the Creative Beast Gorgosaurus. You can see the scale difference there. I do wish I had a 1/18th scale T-Rex to compare him to, but all I've got in the way of that scale for Tyrannosaurs is Gorgosaurus, which is still one of my favorite figures to date. Just love the sculpt, love the color scheme, love everything about it. And so here we also have Creative Beast Studio Subadult Triceratops, which is basically just a 1/35th scale Triceratops. At least that's the way I choose to see it. I got this one to go with my 1/35th scale T-Rex. So with this scale, you can pretend it's just a regular adult. Those look really good together too. If I could just have a room full of dinosaur figures. When I was a kid, it was always my dream to just have an entire room dedicated to dinosaur toys, like with a working stream in it and like a landscape, some volcanoes, Not real ones, but you know what I mean. That was just my dream. And then reality and adulthood hit me in the face. But yeah, I really like this figure. I partly got it because I really wanted to see how it stacked up to Creative Beast. And the other reason is that I just wanted it because it looked good. I love dinosaurs. Just a beautiful, beautiful sculpture. Articulation really isn't bad. It's about what I expected. I personally would like a little bit of a more colorful color scheme, but I totally understand why they went the way they did. And it's not bad. It is a nice colorway, nice patterning. Fierce. I'm going to judge all my dinosaur figures by the simple measure of fierce versus not fierce. This is not fierce. I actually worked as a dinosaur sculptor for a long while, and my boss would always want the dinosaurs to look fierce. It needs to be more fierce. There was a big push to make them look scary and mean and angry rather than necessarily scientifically accurate. So we had to try our best to straddle those two lines. Man, after working there, it's a wonder I still like dinosaurs. But that's a tale for a different day. So yeah, unfortunately for my wallet, if they come out with more articulated dinosaurs like this, I am gonna want them. But really, the cost for this isn't bad. It's a little bit cheaper than Creative Beast. So yeah, if you're in the market for a new dinosaur, this is a really good option. And hopefully it won't be long before we look at another dinosaur, because I want to keep getting my filthy mitts on more dinosaur figures. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Likes and subscribes are very much appreciated. Comments are more than welcome, and I will see you guys on the next one.